Hi there, everybody. I'm Matt with K15T, and welcome to our live stream where we are going to talk about creating powerful agents, AI agents you can use throughout the Teamwork collection. I'm talking Confluence and Loom and Jira and even Trello. I know it's not part of the collection, but it is possible now. Sorry I'm a little late, y'all. My technology over here is having a bit of a Wednesday situation, but we are up and running. We can be heard. Hi, Ada. Nice to meet you, or nice to have you on the live stream in the live chat. By the way, y'all, this is live, so please jump in the live chat because I think some of the best content from these live streams are happening actually in the chat. Like I come here for the chat. I hope you do as well. If you haven't hit the like button, please, that feeds the algorithms, makes them so happy. Nom, nom, nom. They're hungry. We gotta give them the food they need. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I would recommend it. Actually, in 2 weeks, so I'm taking a week off from going live, but in 2 weeks, we are going to have a really fantastic chat with my colleague, Chris, and we're going to look into public access to content in Confluence. So looking at things like adding guests to pages and anonymous access and all the different options there. Chris, if you don't know, is a major tinkerer and explorer, a limit pusher. So he's found so many interesting things about these different options and sort of what you can do there. Because some teams, right, it's good and great for us to work just in Confluence for writing and sharing our knowledge. But some of us need to like get it out of there and share it with other people. So that is what we'll focus on. And we're just going to kind of nerd out about it. But if you are looking to do something like that, or you know someone who is, join us in 2 weeks. Hit that subscribe button so you are notified. Bola, thank you so much for subscribing. It's great to have you on board in this learning journey. Excuse me, you can watch this video by going to this exact same link that you came to. The recording will be sitting right here. And if you wait like a day, you'll even be able to see all of the chat. Even the live chat pops in just as it did when we did it live. So you can check that out. But of course, you want to join live so you can like see that chat. Y'all, thank you so much for joining. Again, if you haven't yet, hit the like button, please, so we can please the algorithms. Hi, friend in Norway. All right, y'all. Today, we're going to talk about creating Rovo Agents. I'd love to know in the chat if you have created one before. I'd also love to know if it was successful. Yeah, because if you haven't noticed, we hear a lot about AI agents, especially lately. And with AI tools, really LLM tools, because there are thoughts about whether LLMs are actually AI or not. But with LLM-based tools, originally, the big sell was they are semantic, which means, wow, these models are awesome. I can just dump a whole bunch of text in there and give it some context, ask it to do a thing, and it will spit back some text and really help me a lot with language-based things. That's what semantic means, language-based stuff. So they're like, oh my God, it can translate stuff. Oh my God, it can like format stuff. It can rewrite stuff. It can, do voice and tone. It can even help us create new content based on a small prompt. Like semantic stuff is really, really cool. And from what I understand of the history of the GPT and models that have come since, that was kind of a surprise. Like nobody exactly expected like this thing to be this good at essentially guessing what to say next. It's very good at that. I'm pretty good at that. That's kind of like my greatest skill I offer to the world, is just constant stream of thoughts that I hope string together and make sense. But our LLM models are very good at that. So we have longtime viewer, first time Rovo creator. Excellent, Ian. All right. I hope you have an incredible bouncing baby Rovo agent by the end of this session. Mary created an onboarding agent for new colleagues. Oh, that's fantastic. That's a great idea for an agent. Jeffrey has created several agents, mostly for Jira, only a couple for Confluence. Craig's never created one. Shavato tried to create a weekly summary agent. It didn't work, but not giving up. I like that spirit. I'm going to join you in that experience. Ada tried so hard, got so far. In the end, it hallucinates. Oh, Jonathan's trying to make an agent with information from Salesforce. Oh, JSM reporting. All right, y'all, you have some incredible use cases. We are going to make something and have a bit of a reality check, because this whole agentified world, agentified AI, it's a lot of promise and a fair amount of functionality to match that promise. So unfortunately, us real people, we have to wade through and figure that out. Hey, Andy, nice to see you on the live stream. Great to have you. Y'all, if you haven't yet, hit the like button, please. So, agents. Let's jump right into things. So here's my screen. I'm here on Confluence. And in our last session, you may remember, if you didn't see that, go check out the recording. We talked a little bit about Confluence databases, which are fantastic for storing all sorts of interconnected bits of data. Really, really cool. And then we also talked about automation, which is a way of putting together a list of steps of things that should be done. And actually, in that stream at the end, we actually used an automation to trigger an agent to do something for us, which was very, very cool. So we're going to do that again, but specifically, we're going to look at agents. And last time, I mentioned this fantastic thing called Studio, and we didn't actually get to look at it. I realized as soon as we got off, I was like, I told them we were going to look at it, and we didn't. So if you go to More, no, I'm mistaken. If you go here to your app switcher, these are all of your Atlassian apps. And if you hit the More button, More menu, unless you've reorganized these, you can't. There's actually a little drag handle thingy, so you can reorganize things. Here is the button for Studio. Now, there is a new Studio coming, which is the Studio we have all dreamt of. It turns out not everybody has this yet. So you need to talk to your administrator about enabling the new beta for Studio. This has been talked about for a while. It was talked about a lot at the team conference. This is really the building tool that we have all wanted. You may, if you go in here, you might see something different where you see big blocks that are like, make an automation, build a Rovo agent, make a Forge app. Like there's different options. This ain't it. So if you don't see this, reach out to your administrator, ask them to enable betas. You have to enable this beta experience to be able to use this. And honestly, I love the first Studio, but only in the way that like someone who has to love someone does. Doesn't seem like a healthy relationship actually, but like it's just not it. This is what we've all been waiting for. So I cannot recommend the original Studio. This is the one to use. And you'll see why as we're using it, because it just makes sense. Kumal made an agent to track their project. Oh, interesting. That's fantastic. Oh, yes, I should say, if you have questions, would you just do hashtag question and then your question? That helps me to spot them in the chat. Also, Hats966, thanks for subscribing. It's great to have you along. If you haven't subscribed, join us on this learning journey, y'all. I have a question. Can a Rovo agent give us all the summary and plug in and the data while we perform the migration from either data center to cloud or cloud to data center? Oh, Kamal, that is a very interesting question. Well, it depends on if you're talking about your agent. Well, you said you're creating an agent to track your project. So if you're asking if you can have an agent that can pull from a Jira space in your data center and a Jira space in your cloud instance and like pull that content together, the answer is yes, I think. Your administrator needs to set up a connector between cloud and your data center. Let me know if that answers your question. Okay, y'all. So here I am on Studio, and you may have remembered during our last session, I had created a really cool agent that helped me as a product manager, which I can see we have several product managers in the audience. So the big need that a lot of product managers have is communication, right? We're communicating with our stakeholders and we are answering questions. And there's different levels of communication that are needed for communicating project details. And as a PM, I'm often just like in the weeds, right? I have people, giving me technical details. I have people giving me dates. I have people giving me financial information. I am someone's therapist. I don't know how I got here. And I'm trying to manage it all in an Excel spreadsheet for some goddamn reason. I'm just kidding. Well, no, actually, most of us are actually just using Excel spreadsheets. We all know it. So let's make this better, shall we? So here is what we're going to do. We are going to build a new agent right here that is going to help us in this communication thing. And in particular, it's going to help us communicate with our executives. If you haven't had the privilege of speaking with your executives, they need higher level information. They just do. They don't want to hear about like little things, little dates and milestones. For them, the big stuff is what matters. It's like, does this impact the organization? How big is the impact? Does it impact other things? These sorts of things are really important to them. So we're going to make an agent that will help us with that communication first and foremost, right? So it will just help me as a PM understand what matters to them. And I have a question here. In custom knowledge, that's like the knowledge that your agent can use. How can I have SharePoint as an option? I only have access to Confluence and Jira in custom knowledge. Mary, that's a great question. I believe the answer is you need your admin to install the Rovo SharePoint connector. Beep, boop, beep. This little thingy right here is a SharePoint connector. And bring your SharePoint files and folders into the Rovo experience. So they need to enable this connector. And then that also allows your admins to control permissions and things. And that way you'll be able to select content from SharePoint as a knowledge source. It's important that your admin does that so that permissions are all good, right? That's very important. Okay, so without further ado, let us build an agent. And a really important thing that we're going to make sure we are always doing when we're building agents is, and I think I'm going to have to get some t-shirts printed, always be chatting. Y'all, oh, thank you. Chat, you're so good to me. You're so good to me. Thank you, Joe. Always be chatting. We are going to chat with Rovo to help us build our Rovo agent. All right, so remember the use case that I described. One of the things that's really important, I'm sorry, I know there's so much talking and prep, but a lot of building agents is really a mind shift because the way we prompt is the way we build. And the way we build, some of this Rovo can just figure out, but some of it is how we have to think. Yes, I can show that connector again. It's right here. It's the SharePoint connector. If you go to Atlassian.com/software/Rovo/connector/SharePoint, an easy to remember URL for the friends and family. All right, so what I am going to do is I'm actually going to start ideating with a little help from somebody I like to call Rovo. I'm going to go just to Confluence and I'm going to open up my Rovo chat. And I'm going to talk to it. You ready? I know this is fascinating content. Here we go. Oh, y'all want the URL? That's a brilliant idea. You know what? We are on the web, and I can do that. There you go. Hey, y'all, chat. I forgot how everything works today. All right, so back to my chat. So I'm going to say, I'm really trying to. Whoop, is this working? Dictation. Friendo. I want to build a Rovo agent that will help me communicate with my C-level executive team. Is there a particular format that executives are looking for when they ask for project updates? All right, this is just an app I use for dictation, so I'm going to throw this into chat. The reason I'm showing you this is because before you start to build, you need to conceptualize what are the pieces your agent needs. So Rovo is very great at helping you ideate and figure out what you might need. And if you're like, ugh, I'm not really a talking person, I actually like to visualize, you can also use Rovo in a whiteboard, a Confluence whiteboard to visually work together. All right, so yeah, based on how good software already structures okay, we should use an executive briefing format. Okay, here we go. So we have a format already. Here's what executives care about. Okay, this is fantastic. Okay, this is like very good to know about Erica. She's looking for these things. Okay, this is fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this format. I'm going to copy this because I think this is great. Actually, I'll just grab this. This is really helpful to me. So already, thank you, Tony. Yes, you can. You want every prompt? I don't know if I'm going to give out every prompt, y'all. I'm going to keep some of these close to the chest. But yes, I can grab this prompt and I can throw it right here in the chat. All right, so there is the prompt that I just used. So I'm going to grab this piece because this is fantastic. I have found there's an existing format that our executive team already use, which is super, super awesome. So now I'm going to go into Rovo Studio. And again, I'm going to use my dictation app. You can type here. Actually, if you use the Confluence mobile app, the latest beta version actually has the ability to have a discussion with Rovo. It's not just dictation. It actually talks back and forth like a Gemini or a ChatGPT. Question, can you pull and push from an MCP server and LLM within an agent? Yes, Remy, you can do that. You have to set up the LLM, or excuse me, the MCP server as a connector. And then there you also configure what actions can be taken. And I'll show you where we pick the tools that our agent can use. All right, so I'm going to paste this in. This is our format. And I'm going to say, use this. Cool. And I'm going to briefing format for format structure for executive project updates. Cool. So I'm already telling my agent, hey, always use this format that we already have, which is super cool. But let's begin my prompt by saying something here. And again, this isn't the prompt that's going to power the agent. I'm still just having a discussion here. I suppose I probably could have actually just asked this here. I forgot that I can do that now. So what I'm going to ask is something like this. You're an approachable, friendly, and charming assistant for leadership and executives. You answer in-depth questions from executives to help give them the answers they need about project health in order to make high-level decisions. You aim to be honest and ask any clarifying questions needed in order to give people correct answers and information they need. All right, now you might be thinking, Matt, where did you get that? Which, by the way, I will drop that into the chat. Boop. So I got this prompt. Oh no, it's too long. Blimey. Let's send that, and here's the rest of it. There it is. I got this from continuing my conversation with Rovo. Like remember I started my conversation and I dropped this in here. I actually continued that conversation. So I said things like, what are some important things for ensuring leaders listen to what I say? And like some suggestions were like, make sure you can give in-depth answers. Make sure you are honest. Being a little charming isn't a terrible thing either. Let's see what else. And it mentioned like the most important thing for them is they need to be able to make high-level decisions. Y'all, I'm realizing that this chopped off a little bit of the prompt. So let me grab the full prompt and I will give it to you because I care greatly that your leaders are informed. There we go. Cool. All right. So we have our prompt and we also have the format. So now, what are we building? I'm just going to add one more bit here, which is can you line return for me there, bud? Okay. We're creating an agent that will help us communicate project details in a way that's helpful for C-level leadership. By the way, if y'all were in Anaheim, I made a few jokes at the expense of our leaders because easy target. And I had a fantastic person come up and talk to me later and said, whoa, some great jokes also that hurt, but mostly great. Which I was like, you know what? You're right. You're right. All right, y'all, we have it. Let's do this thing. All right, now Rovo Create is going to pop up. Rovo is beginning the work. And do you see this here, how it says Design Solution? This is a fun little thing called a skill, which there are more and more of these happening kind of in the background within Rovo. And I see more of these in the UI. Those are actual designated skills that Atlassian has created to help Rovo know exactly what to do. Ian says, a little extra sugar rarely hurts the recipe. Yes, unless you're making it for someone who is trying to manage their blood sugar, Ian. But you're right. I have been charming as a project manager, and it has helped a lot. Can we create Rovo Agent refresh sandbox from production data? I see. So you're asking, can the Rovo Agent refresh your sandbox from production data? No, I don't believe so. I don't believe Rovo doesn't have the capacity to like mass import and export data like that. All right, keep the jokes coming. All right, y'all. All right, this agent, here we go. This agent will give your leadership team instant clarity on project help, translating complex project details into executive-ready briefings, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let me create the solution for you. Hey, Rovo, I was hoping that you would. All right, this is fantastic. Okay, so here is the prompt. I can expand this. Here are the instructions based on what I asked it to do. Here's some steps. Here's that format, right? When generating executive briefings, always use this structure. Be thorough in your analysis, highlight critical issues. Okay, and then here, it's trying to select some knowledge for us. We're gonna leave this as is, and let's see what happens. All right, y'all, let's build that agent. All right, click the button. Agent is being built. Oh my God, agent has been built. Okay, this is so fantastic and happened so quickly. Hey, sidebar, you're okay. I got to make you a little smaller. Okay, here we are. So now I'm in Studio, and you can see I'm looking at my executive briefing agent. So just from having a chat with Rovo, it has created a whole agent for me. This is so helpful. So let's take a look. So here are all those instructions we just looked through. And there's a few more things. You can see it's even given it a description here. An approachable assistant that helps leadership, blah, 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 blah. Cool. Also, you'll notice it's not activated yet. That's a little cut off because I'm zoomed in like crazy. It's not activated yet. So that's cool. We're still playing around. We're still building. No one has access to this but us. That's super cool. You can see it's a draft. Very nice. Very cool. All right. So here is our agent. Let's look at some of these other areas, because beyond just saying, here's what we want you to do, we need to give our agent some tools. Right? Just like when we add a new member to the team, we need to give them tools to do some work. Kumal's wondering, can an agent pull data after a successful migration? Like I've migrated a project from data center to cloud. I want to check if all my data has been migrated successfully. Oh, that's a great question, Kamal. No, not that I'm aware of. There's just not that direct comparison option. I know some teams who are working with Jira, they actually use the app K15 team makes called Backbone Issue Sync, which actually syncs Jira, or not issue sync. Oh God, I feel so 2 months ago. Work items, that syncs the work items from data center to cloud so that you know they are in sync, and then like you can make the transition and everything's Gucci. But no, you can't do that with Rovo, unfortunately. Yes, Rovo credits are used by running agents. I don't have too much info on how you control the number of credits that are used. I know Atlassian is doing a lot of work around that because like these are gonna like roll out across whole organizations. That I don't have too much info on, but y'all let me know in the chat. I've been thinking about reaching out to some members of the Rovo team to see if they would jump on 1 or 2 or 3 or many streams with me to answer some of these questions we have and, to say, explain yourselves. So if you're interested in that, do let me know because I'm interested in it. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about skills, which really you should think about these as tools. These are, what are the things that I have given to my, you're welcome, Kamal. What are the things I'm giving to my agent to let it do what it needs to do? And remember, in our chat here, it had suggested some skills, right? We're gonna think about them as tools. So here are some things that it thinks it needs in order to be able to do stuff. So it needs to be able to search with Jira query language. Yeah, I think that would be helpful for it. It needs to be able to get work items out of Jira. It needs to be able to get a change log. It needs to be able to search Jira spaces. Excuse me. It needs to be able to get a page from Confluence, and it needs to be able to create a page. Okay, this is a good start. I think these are kind of the base things that we would need for our agent to be able to knowledgeably communicate with leadership. I want to add more tools in the future, but not yet. By the way, y'all, hit the like button if you haven't. Hit the subscribe button if you want to keep learning. Now I feel like I'm one of those like spammy pop-ups. It's like, oh, if you want to continue to experience body odor, you can swipe away from this deodorant deal. It's fine if you want to smell. Subscribe if you don't want to smell. Okay. The next important thing for an agent to have is access to knowledge. That's what we all need. And in this case, currently our agent has access to all organizational knowledge. So here's the thing. One of the most important things we can do to make sure our agents don't hallucinate is to limit the amount of knowledge it has access to. Because if we just give it access to all of our organizational knowledge, that's the equivalent of saying like, hello, new person who joined the team. Here's everything. Go figure out how to do your specialized job. That is cruel and unusual, and we are not going to do that. So we are going to define some custom knowledge here. And I think like what would be most valuable, let's see, looking at my notes over here. Where did I put it? Whatever, we're gonna wing it. So let's add some knowledge. So in this case, I know for a fact that in Confluence, there are select places where I want it to pull knowledge from. So I'm going to go to select spaces. And then here I want to get content from the good software space. This is where we're managing project content. In fact, I think that's enough. That's enough. Some of these other spaces are good, but this is just truly not where the right knowledge is. All the project info is here. So already we've constricted it so it doesn't have to be searching across all of Confluence. It's just, this is the space where all of our projects are managed. That makes a lot of sense. I'm going to enable Jira limitations as well. So I happen to know that we have the internal projects space in Jira. And then also our big organization-wide project is the Good Software Swag Store space in Jira. And you might have lots of spaces in Jira. Definitely limit that stuff. Question, is it possible to share the configuration at the end? I don't know if I can share agent configurations like that. That's a good question. I'm not sure. The sharing of agents thing isn't great. Maybe I need to like vibe code like a Pokemon trading card type experience where we could share agents. That would be cool. Let me think about that. Fantastic question. Regarding the custom knowledge, some team members have access to SP option, but I do not. So I wonder if it's a permission. Yes, Mary, if you're not seeing SharePoint as an option, it's probably a permission thing. And you should give the gift of chocolate along with a question to your administrator about that. Can we use agents to communicate between Jira instances by any chance? Oof, I don't think so, Remy. I don't think so. Yeah, instance to instance. You can have agents pull from different instances, I believe. But I don't think there can be any sort of like data swapping or something like that. Because that is a permissions complication that your InfoSec team is going to be grumpy about. Okay, this is super cool. I think we're good for now. We're going to enhance this in a minute, but right now we're good. So No, I didn't say all spaces. What? Excuse me? All right, we're going to try this again. Yeah, no, seriously, Jira, seriously. UI don't know what's going on. Okay. And then, okay, we did it. Whew, we've limited knowledge to spaces. Yo, this is yet another reason why organizing our knowledge and our work in spaces is so important. So don't, if anybody's like, ugh, our messy space doesn't really matter because AI fixes it. Wrong-o. Wrong. We still have to organize our knowledge to help even our AI tools because they are programmed to mimic humans. Okay, another thing we can enable is web search, which we're not going to enable here. But this is great if you want your agent to be able to actually go out to the web. Finally, there's the deep research option, and you'll notice that's not allowed for agents. This is an interesting thing. I think it's probably around the token usage, but deep research is the ability for the agent to do a ton of churning through stuff and doing really thoughtful things. Not available for agents, but it is available for sub-agents. And I'll talk to you about sub-agents in a minute. That's this section down here. Okay, so we've created our agent. This is fantastic. So now, let's activate it. Beep, boop, beep. Spinning circles. Feels good, feels right, feels good, feels right. Okay, awesome. One of the things I've noticed is the icon that is used for your agent is randomly generated. If anybody knows how this is determined, please let me know. I really, really, really want to know where this comes from, but I may never know. Okay, this is really cool. So I'm gonna hit test. Beep. So here we go. Executive briefing agent and approachable. Blah, 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 blah. You can also see that it has created some little help. What do they call these? Conversation starters. So this helps us understand what we might do. So let's actually just use this one. Show me the status of all projects with upcoming milestones. So the idea right now is this agent could be really useful for me as a PM. If an exec reaches out or I know I need to communicate with one, I can go right to this agent to help me not only find the information, but actually like put it in the right format. So based on the latest project documentation and status updates, here's the status of active projects. So remember we gave it a format we wanted this from. Here is the information about our projects, including this is a really important financial impact bit right here. Accounting system moratorium, a potential no change period may block necessary integrations. This is super important. You can see it's even mentioning people that are involved. So this is really incredible, including it's built a table for me. This is awesome. So if I need a very quick answer to a question, this is great. I could also direct my leadership to use this directly if I want it. Now, this is really cool, but what if I wanted it to do more? Easy. So easy. So easy, y'all. First thing I want to do is I'm thinking I would love for this to be a bit more proactive because I know there is a process where this needs to communicate on the regular. So I'm going to go back into skills and I'm going to hit add skills. And this is where you can pick the different tools you want to give it access to. So here's SharePoint. I'm not sure why I have the option because we don't use SharePoint, but it's cool that it's there. If you're using Salesforce, Microsoft Teams, there's lots of different options here. What I might do is I might say, Google, I want to use Google Workspace because that's what good software is using. And I want to be able to check in calendars. It can do some really cool scheduling stuff, actually. But I want to send an email from a Gmail, add that. And also, I want to pull in information about Teams, get team hierarchy, search Atlassian Teams because we've started using Teams. And I want the agent to have access to this information to pull things in. Also, newly, you can create Trello cards. I'm going to add this to my agent because in the future, I also want the agent to create a Trello card on my personal project, my kind of keep myself sane Trello board to know that yes, indeed, I did communicate with leadership. So I'm gonna drop that in there. And then down here, somebody asked about MCP servers. This is where you would see your own custom MCP servers. And if you hit the plus button, that will guide you into the experience of adding them. Also, Slack. I'm going to add send a message. Beep. All right, so I have added some skills here. We're going to think about these as tools because it's really the tools that our agent can use. And now you can see these all here. This is really fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to our chat over here. Like, yes, I could talk right into this prompt, but turns out Rovo is actually better at writing that final prompt than I am. So I'm going to say, okay, this looks great, but I want the agent to be able to send a weekly email to an email. Okay, I'm just going to say, I'll just say email address. This would probably be the distribution list that your leaders use, right? I forgot I can dictate this. Oh my gosh, look at this. Create a sub agent I can use to send a similar kind of executive briefing to a select email address using Gmail. I did it. Can you hear me? Y'all, come on. Come on. Yeah, AirPods, do it. It's working. Oh. Can you hear me? Testing, testing. All right. Okay. All right. Create a, thank you for holding on with me, y'all. That sends this, sends an executive summary to an email address. Okay. So this is a very simple use case, but hey, some use cases are simple. Can we use an agent to communicate? Oh, sorry. Export. Okay. All right. Cool. So this is thinking. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Whoops. 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 Stop. Stop. I'm actually chatting with our agent right now. Whoops. I need to go back to Rovo. Sorry. Sorry, Rovo. Can you help me update this agent? This is why we really want to use the new studio, because Rovo can help us improve things as we go. Can we create an agent live in Epic Clone? Full Epic Clone, including stories, subtasks, attachments, linked worked items. Yes, I think you could create an agent that would do that. You need to have an Epic story subtask, like all the things as an example for it to reference. So say like, this is what I want you to recreate, give it some information in the prompt about what that structure should be. And then yes. And if you test it and it's like not giving you the results that you really looking for, chat with it here, just like I'm doing, and say, hey, you created these things in these work items, but this isn't right, or I expected this to happen. How can I improve the instructions so that it will be correct? And then it will actually tell you, I would improve these things. And then you can say, okay, do it. And it will actually update itself. Okay, to help you update this agent, let me check the current configuration. Okay, so Rovo understands my agent. Now I'm going to put my little request in. Cool. So Rovo is thinking it's going to update our agent. There's that skill again, Rovo Agent Builder. So this is Rovo making our updates. I'll help you create a sub agent that can send weekly executive summaries via email. Let me got it. Okay. All right. Do that. Y'all, while we are waiting for this, I'm curious. Is anybody using AI agents in your personal life? And I'm not even just saying like Atlassian ones. I mean, Rovo's for work. All right, let's be honest. Are you using agents? Like I just saw a huge thing from Google. They were talking about agents all day long. Are you using AI agents in Google or Snap or I don't know. Everybody has them. Everybody's talking about them. Are you using agents in your daily life to like automate things, to communicate, to log information? I would love to know. I have thoughts. I'd love to know yours. Drop it in the chat. Okay, cool. Here's the sub agent. It's got a trigger for us. Here are all the instructions. This looks really fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna hit accept. So now it is creating a sub agent for us. And you can see sub agents have their own tools and instructions to handle certain scenarios. One thing that's good to know is, at least according to Rovo, a sub agent can use all the same skills or tools that an agent has access to. When you build a sub agent, this one right here, you can give it access to additional tools. That's my understanding. So the sub agents inherit the skills of the agent. So now we've created a sub agent. So this is specifically a new thing our agent can do. So our agent is the sort of personality part. It knows what an executive briefing is. It knows how to talk to executives. This is a really good skill to have. I don't actually have it, so that's why I'm building an agent for it. Now I'm building a new sub agent that will help me actually leverage that agent that knows how to do a thing, but also perform a unique task, right? Weekly executive email. So now I have this ability with some skills and some knowledge. Oh, cool. It actually passed the same knowledge to it. This is really fantastic. So now I want this to send to my executives every week. So let's set up a trigger. So right over here, boop, trigger. Oh, it has a brainstorming agent. I actually have one too. I'm going to show y'all later. It's a bit messy, but I'm pretty pumped about it. Okay, so here is the triggers area of our agent. You can see we're still looking at our agent, and I want to add an automation trigger. So what should trigger the agent? Every Monday at, I want them to have it at their desk when they arrive. So we're going to say 8 a.m. Yeah, okay, that's the trigger, right? It could be something else, doesn't even have to be time-based. It could be when somebody creates a new blog post, do this thing. Any trigger that works in a flow, remember we looked at flows last week, can be used here. But we're just describing, we want to do it at a certain time. What instructions should the agent follow when the rule runs? Send an summary email to leadership at goodsoftware.com. Okay, cool. And I will say mark the sender as PM at goodsoftware.com. Cool. PM at software.com. Okay, cool. Add the trigger. I'm going to click add trigger. And what is actually happening is an automation flow is being created right now. Here it is. If you joined us last week, this UI probably looks familiar. You can see here are the steps. So every week on Monday at 8 a.m. Australia, Sydney time, sure, it will run our agent and it will give it this prompt. And remember from last week, if your agent actually responds back with something useful, it's right here. See that there? That's kind of groovy. You know what I could do with that? Beep. I'm going to add a new step here, and I'm going to grab an action, and I'm going to, I wanted it to make that Trello card for me. But I forgot. You can't do that from flows. Trello doesn't work with flows yet, just with agents. All right, we're going to leave it as is. So this is going to trigger our agent to send that email. Save and enable. Boom. Cool. This is great. One thing I would recommend, actually, a really good best practice is the name here. Because if your admin just looks at this flow, they're going to be like, what does this relate to? At the very end, I'm going to append. This is for the executive briefing Rovo agent. So this is not automatically added, but very important so your admins know, oh, this is the trigger for the thing. So now going back to my agent, if I refresh the page here, now I can see all the triggers for this agent. In this case, there's one, and we just made it. And I can see, here's the thing. This is super awesome. And I can even see like if it triggers from certain actions, like kind of filter it down. So I can say like, oh, are there any triggers that just happen if something happens in Confluence? They'll be listed here. In this case, this is just a time-based one. So this lives here. So now we have our agent. We have a new trigger automation. This is super cool. A couple of other things you can do. Oh, I see some questions. Okay, one second. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep. Okay. Simon is using agents personally. Interesting. Okay, question. What is the best architecture for implementing an AI document parser within my asset management ticketing system? I need to automatically extracted resume data into asset fields upon ticket creation. Oh, Kamal, you are a big thinker. I love this. You know what? I would have a conversation with Rovo about that. These sorts of like thinking about the architecture and how to break things apart. That is really something that Rovo is very helpful at doing. One of the things I'm actually struggling with at the moment is having sort of repetitive actions that are logging information. I don't know if it's a limitation with Rovo or what, but I would actually like start having a conversation with Rovo, Kamal, with that type of information, really describe it, and then say like, I want to build an agent with sub-agents. How would you recommend I structure it? That would be really good. Also, a little pro tip for when you're working with Rovo on really deep thinking type things, you can, have they moved the button? Yeah, what if I full screen it? There should be a button where you can switch to the thinking model. Okay, here. That's interesting. In this experience, we see this button here, and you can say, think deeper. This let Rovo decide tool typically does a good job. This is just two different models. But I found thinking deeper is really helpful for questions like that, where you're like, help me reason something through. Don't use deep research. It's really just good for like getting insights. It takes minutes for those to run. But yeah, that button is very helpful. Okay, a couple other things to do. There are metrics so you can see who is using your agents. Also, there are some tools here for making sure your agent is actually like doing what you want it to. So you can actually create evaluation conversations here. So you could make a couple of conversations as if you were an exec with some questions you commonly get. And then you can also, as part of your evaluation, you can define what are like the expected responses. I'm not going to build one right now, so that you can it's actually kind of an active test that's running, and you'll get alerted like, hey, whoa, for whatever reason, your agent is not giving expected responses, or something just changed, something like that. There's also this evaluation tool that's very new, the evaluation tool is what is used in creating these conversations or review. Oh, my words, y'all. You create the conversations using the evaluations so that you can artificially have a chat or chats with your agent in an automated way to make sure everything's good to go. Everything, the answers are making sense. Finally, permissions. Y'all, maybe everybody shouldn't be able to change your agent. So you can turn that off, or you can turn it on off so only you can see it and use it. That might be important, especially if this is meant for execs. And then you can limit it. You can say just certain people have access to this. Erica has access to it. Also, Erica is just a user. All right. Erica can just use the agent. That's all the permission they need. Okay. Is everybody cool? Also, first of all, interesting that nobody seems to be using agents in their personal life. Yeah, I understand that. I also haven't found much of a use for them. That seems kind of common. A recent one that I'm thinking about is I know someone who is chronically ill, and oh, yes, Simon is Sorry. I know someone who's chronically ill, and it's very hard to figure out what information should I be logging for this condition that I have. And I'm thinking that maybe an agent that I point to a bunch of knowledge sources I've collected about their condition, so that it is informed, and I give it a prompt of like, you are not a doctor, but you are an analyst who is very aware of this condition, and you are very good at asking questions about symptoms that might be related, and then also have it create a data log. So an agent that can have a conversation with this person and then create a log this person can take in to see their actual medical provider. And those conversational type approaches can help draw out data points and trends that someone who's just like, oh my God, like there's a million things my body does. How do I figure out what to log and what not to log? Okay. Is it cool if you guys, someone wants to see the brainstorming agent? Can I show you all what I've been working on? I'm going to do it because we have a couple minutes. So this hits close to home. So this is my content producer agent. So one thing to know about me is I am terrible at organizing things, and I have always wanted to have a content producer on my team, someone who helps me schedule things with myself or special guests, someone who helps me put together things like a live stream. Right? There's a lot of different things I have to set up, things I have to write and plan in order to do this, and that also includes scheduling. I also would love someone to talk to about like, hey, there's this content idea, or there's this thread in Slack that some of my colleagues were talking about. Could this become a thing? Or, hey, I just saw this blog post. This is very cool. Could we create a live stream from this? Additionally, I'm like, I really want to have a colleague who is informed in like the industry. So looking at content creation and new hardware tools and new software tools, and also trends, because this is the content world. What are the trends? How are algorithms changing? These sorts of things. So I want a real, like as close to a real colleague as I can get, because I don't think I'm ever going to get a human colleague who helps me with this. So here I am. And like I was saying earlier, originally, I was in my initial prompt, I was basically, and I did this all from having a conversation with Rovo. And originally I'm like, hey, I want this agent to feel like a person. I want them to talk like this. I don't want them to do this. I don't want them to use M dashes. I don't want them to guess or assume things. So I had all of that. But then also originally, I also had the ability, all the things that need to happen when I schedule a new live stream. And so these instructions were massive, like so big. And what happens if your instructions get too long is your agent starts to not work so well, because unfortunately, we don't know how big it is, but Rovo agents do have a context window. So the context window is just literally, how much can you say to the LLM before it's like, I forgot the first stuff that you said. So we do know that agents are powered by the Gemini Lite models, but we don't know how much text we can pass in. So eventually, when this got so long, I was like, okay, Rovo, help me re-architect this. I still want my content producer to have skills and abilities and a personality of sorts, but y'all, I'm not even sharing my screen. So sorry. I wasn't showing anything super useful. And actually, Rovo suggested, okay, hey, this is the heart and soul of your agent, the personality, the things that it's good at, and then we're going to break this into sub-agents. So here is the role and persona, sort of what it is. Explicitly not an agreeable yes man. That's a very important one for me. I do not like these agents that are like, well, that was a fantastic idea. You can't come up with any wrong ideas. Great work. Yes. Some critical things that have come up. Here is that mentorship piece. So I've actually like worked into it. Here are some things that I want you to do when you're talking to me to actually help me learn as we are conversing. Some communication stuff. Don't use M dashes. And then finally, Rovo actually added this, some delegation rules for like, hey, just so you know, like if someone asks for this, use this sub agent. Okay. So here, yeah, exactly. That's a great insight. I was vibe coding and it was like, oh my gosh, that edge case that you caught, you're like a senior level engineer. I was like, Gemini, calm down. Another thing you'll notice is my agent has so many skills, and that's because it can look at my calendar and the calendar of all the guests to see when it can schedule things. It can send emails to external guests. It has the ability to update work items, or at least access. I haven't added that functionality yet, but I want it to update my team's work items so everybody is informed. It can create Google Docs for when I'm working with external guests. I can send messages in Slack, in my team's channel, like when things are scheduled. Yeah, lots of things here, and it's pretty great. You can see I've limited the knowledge here a little bit to like our marketing space, the content team spaces, my personal Trello board, some cool things there. Also, Loom. I know I mentioned Loom. Finally, Loom actually gets that shout out. Yeah, it has the ability to search the web because it needs to be able to go out and get insights for things. So that is the main agent, and it has access to all the tools. Like I said, at least according to Rovo, the sub agents have access to the skills of the agent. I hope that's true. So again, I know there's so much here, but let's look at the network and guest scout. So this scout, this sub agent actually goes online. And once I am planning a live stream, it will look through LinkedIn and other resources to look for potential guests that could join. Now that's it, right? And here's the output, right? It just says like, here is the guest name and the company. It's a pretty simple, like what it does, but this is the kind of structure that Rovo recommended to really break down what are the unique things it does. Another one is the pre-production coordinator. This one I love. This is the first functionality I built, actually. Here is the live stream planning expert that I brought onto my team. You help me organize and schedule things. And then I actually, like, painstakingly, I documented all the things I do when I prep a live stream. And then I gave it all to Rovo and it formatted it like this. So it tells it all the things it needs to collect, including like, hey, I need speaker information. Ask the person using this agent for the LinkedIn profiles for the speakers, because then it can pull the info from that for those speakers. It makes a new page, which is super cool. It prompts me. At first, it was just making the page with all the text, and I was like, no. So now it prompts me to review the content before I publish. Here's the live doc I want it to create. Here's all the sections I want it to create. This is a big prompt, y'all. This is a big one. Create calendar events. So I gave it instructions on like, here is the process you should use for scheduling, including going to the calendar. I even send out special links to my guests for the special tool that we use for inviting guests onto live streams. So it knows if I'm inviting a guest, go to this page and get the special URLs for each guest. So I've defined, this is my business process as I do it as a team, and then notify the team in Slack. I love this thing, y'all. It gets me a good 80% of the way there. It's so cool. Finally, I just want to show you, because I know we're over time, but kind of cool. This is what I'm working on. This is the part that actually lets this thing be informed of the industry. I'm trying to create a trend researcher sub-agent. Yes, Simon, it probably could, that huge prompt could be broken into sub-agents. I will probably break out a separate scheduling sub-agent because I think that's a useful skill, and then go from there. But you're right, it should be broken down more. You are absolutely right. This audience, you are so fantastic. For the trend researcher, what I want it to do is, this is the thing that actually goes out to the web and researches things. Here's all the things, like places I want it to go, different things in the industry. Here is the like the things to focus on, and then here is the structure I want it to create. What I'm trying to get this sub agent to do is every day, based on an automation that I set up in the triggers, go out to the web at like early in the morning, do this research and put it on a Confluence page so that every day there's a new Confluence page with these insights. That way, when I'm chatting with my producer, it can reference those things and be like, hey, did you see this? Or like, hey, you should really check this out. Finally, and I can't show this, unfortunately, because K15T Slack is private, but you can also talk to your Rovo agents in Slack or in Teams. So I actually have been chatting with my content producer right there, which for me has made it so much more useful and accessible to me because I'm right there in the tool where I chat to all of my other colleagues. So right there, I'm talking to my agent. And the idea is it's going to pass me industry news. It's going to check in with me and say like, hey, how is this thing going? I'm going to say, here's some content. Would you help me make a live stream? Another tool I have that I just built is I can take the transcript from our live stream, feed it into it and say, hey, based on, what works on social and whatever, help me identify short videos that could be created with time codes based on this long form one. Lots that can be done. The most important thing you can do is always be chatting with Rovo. Use Rovo. And now that Rovo in Studio really does connect with the building experience, we can co-create together. And also, if you ever, you've got a prompt and you're like, this doesn't seem to be working quite the way I expect, drop it into your other LLM. Like go over to Gemini and say, hey, I have this prompt that I'm trying to use to make a Rovo agent and it's just not quite doing this. How would you change it? And sometimes that will point something out that you didn't know. Yeah, Rovo is an excellent business analyst. Exactly. Rovo is your best friend or a business analyst so that BA do not end up being in a situation where everyone is depending on AI and saying AI replaces. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, no. Rovo, AI will never replace business analysts. It will only ever be a tool to complement them. There's things like nuance and handling of unique situations that LLMs can't do. LLMs are they're a very, 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 very fancy parlor trick. They're very good at guessing what might come next based on what has happened in the past, but also, ask an LLM to predict what's going to happen with LLMs. It can't do it, right? It can guess. It can look at like past human science fiction books and try to guess, but it doesn't know. And that's because we can only push that technology so far. It is not the gateway to general intelligence. If anyone tells you that it is, it isn't. Listen to some real AI researchers, they'll tell you that. Best practices around communicating these things is understand your value and also like build agents that will, like if you have agents that are assisting you in your job, like, hey, I'm a PM, make these agents for me. Set the agents to pass people to you when they are out of their depth. Say like, okay, wow, that's a great question and I don't know. You should message Matt. Yes, artificial intelligence is not intelligence. At least LLMs are not intelligent. We slapped AI on there because we got the artificial part right, but LLMs are not intelligent. They are a very, very, very cool math trick. And it's been more useful than anyone ever expected, and that's phenomenal, and we're going to do cool things with it. We also need to be much more responsible with developing it. Talked about that in the past on streams. But yes, don't ever let someone say that you can be replaced by AI. You can be augmented by it. Many people that are saying things like that are trying to make an excuse for something else. So have those agents amplify your value, as opposed to people thinking you can be replaced. Yes, I see another question coming in. Oh, it was retracted. Okay. All right, y'all. Any other questions? I know we're way far past, but it's kind of awesome. I am going to try to get some folks from the Rovo team to join some streams because I think we have a lot of cool questions for them and would love to know sort of where they're going. Also, I will keep giving updates on my agent that I shared here, agent and sub-agents, because I'm trying to build out my team artificially and definitely bumping up into limits, including like right now, I cannot get that trend researcher sub-agent to actually just create a Confluence page, which doesn't make any sense because the agent is creating them. So I'm like, what is going on? Someone is an Atlassian org admin at their company and wanted to ask about permissions for creating Rovo agents. How does the governance model work? Can any user create agents and automations? No, any user can't. So I believe the structure is like you can enable it for users to see agents, and then I believe there's another level for creating them. That's my understanding. And then as I showed, users can create agents and they are visible by default for everybody, but those can, they can say this is just for me or just for a select few. You can also, anyone who creates an agent, they are the owner of that agent by default, but you can say there are multiple owners or multiple people who can update the agent if needed, which makes sense. Like once your PM agent gets good enough, you should share it with all the PMs so everybody can use it. That's that sort of thing. I hope that helps. There's definitely better information out there around the full permission scheme. As far as the information that agents can pull from or retrieve, that's all dictated on the permissions I have. So if I'm chatting with my Rovo agent, I will only get information that I am allowed to get from stuff in Atlassian and all the connected tools. When can we expect more knowledge sessions like this? I mean, Kumal, 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about, we'll be talking about sharing things from Confluence using guest access, anonymous permissions, all of those things. I mean, we're going live at least once a month, but I'm hoping to do it more because I just love it. It's very fun. Can an agent be used or integrated with custom LLMs? You can connect another LLM like an MCP server. So you can say like, hey, Rovo, ask Gemini to do something. There are connectors for Gemini, but you're still chatting with Rovo. That's how it works. And there are a lot of different connectors between Rovo and other things, and also automations and other things. I would love to have a session just for admins where we talk about all those connectors because I keep discovering more and more and more of them, and I'm not sure how we're supposed to keep up. Agents make suggestions before dealing with AI fragmentation. Can agents make suggestions about how to deal with AI fragmentation? I mean, potentially, Simon. What I would do is if you want an agent that does that, go out and do some research for yourself, find some good recommendations and knowledge sources, and like add those in Confluence, like on a page or something, or even point your agent to those so it has those knowledge sources. And then, yeah, I think so. Especially if y'all have like corporate guidance, like you want users, you want to make recommendations to users about like, hey, you should use this agent for this thing and this thing, but for this, go do something else. You are very welcome, everybody. This is so fantastic. Simon, I do not know. RAG anything? That I don't know. That sounds like a question for someone from the Rovo team, which I'll be chatting with them on Slack today. So hope to add y'all soon. All right, y'all, we're 10 minutes past. This has been delightful. I hope you all had a lovely time. As you're building agents and working with Rovo or any other LLM, just know we are all figuring this out, and you might bump into weird things where you're like, why can't I do this? Guess what? We are all doing that exact same thing. I almost cried about it yesterday. I ended work a little bit early because I could not anymore. So just know none of us are behind. None of us know like a substantially large amount more than the others. We are all figuring this out together. So I will see you soon. Please like and subscribe and share the links. Check out other videos. Go to k15t.com/learn to find all sorts of fantastic written content about the Teamwork Collection and many other things, including documentation best practices. We have a whole massive guide over there, and also a monthly newsletter you can subscribe to, which is a banger. So jump over to all of our content, check it out, and join us as we continue to explore how to use Confluence to share what you do best. See you, everybody.